Hey, how is everyone doing? It's been a while, and that's because we've been quite busy. For people that know me and follow me on Instagram, they've already seen that we have been working on a new short film. So we're trying some new stuff out, and I thought this would be a great opportunity to go live and do some work together. Maybe you give me some input on where we should take directions on the short film. So a really cool idea. We've already done quite a bit. So we went to the shoot and we edited everything together. And now I'm working on all these VFX shots. It's crazy. I've already done like the main setup of everything, and now I'm going to finalize a shot together with you guys. So hope you enjoy it, and yeah, I'm going to share my screen. By the way, for people that are interested in learning how to create epic videos and how to do basic VFX or advanced VFX, whether you have some knowledge already or you have zero knowledge whatsoever, we are currently doing a pre-order on the Epic VFX Academy, which is going to close tomorrow, Monday. So if you want, you can grab an amazing chance to get this amazing deal. Go and check it out with the link in the description below, and I will start sharing my screen from here. Anyway, I hope you're all doing great in the chat here. I see a bunch of people joining here. So as we're kicking this off, yeah, I'm wondering where everyone is from these days. Okay, so this is the shot that I'm going to be working with, and as you can see, this is the avatar, well, our recreation of it, and we have this shot here where he is going to be he's going to get surrounded by some Death Eaters, and so you can see that we're just coming into the frame here, and we're like like yelling one by one to run in the shot and then jump one by one. So we have a number for each, and then when we yell the number, that person jumps in and acts like he's entering the scene. And because everyone is also out of the scene, we have the clean plate right here. Obviously, the sun is changing a little bit, so you have to be cautious about that. But that's basically our original shot. And what I want to do with this shot today is turn this into a landing sequence where everyone is also a little bit faster, because you can see it's a pretty slow process for everyone to make it into the scene, and also they jump a little bit slower after each other. So I want to speed up the entire process and then add some Death Eater smoke. So that's a pretty cool process, and then we'll see where we get if we continue on something else together as well. How is everyone doing today? I see a lot of hellos, but yeah. Put on some music in the background. Unfortunately, I can't put on some right now for the restrictions, and also then you can just enjoy your own tracks while you're joining in the work with me. So I already did a basic setup of that one shot that I just showed you here. And what I've done is I have the original shot, and then I just trimmed each time when a person jumps. So for example, if I solo this layer right here, we can see that I just masked out a person getting into the shot. And then we have the next one right here. So if I just solo the top layers, you will see that one by one, they just land in the shot. And I kind of just framed them out a little bit and masked a part out of the frame, making sure the shadows are also in it, and having a feathered mask on those video layers. So that's basically it. And because we have the original layer below it, it's just going to blend in well. And that's my landing sequence for this animation. That gives me something like this, which is a lot more fluent, a lot more it's a lot faster. Obviously it looks a little bit dumb now without the effects on it, especially on set. It looks so funny to do this type of stuff, but we enjoyed it so much. If you care to follow me through these journeys, I share a lot of that stuff on Instagram, so you can just follow me at Ignace Aleya if you're into that stuff. Hey, Cosby. Nice, from Romania. How are you doing, man? Full Houdini tutorials. Well, I'm not using Houdini. I'm primarily using Cinema 4D and different softwares. Houdini is something that I've only played with a little bit, but I don't really see the use for my needs often to use that software, or I find like other ways to do it, because otherwise I would have to learn the entire software from scratch again. So what I'm going to be using for these Death Eater smokes and the landing is actually Embergen, which comes with Octane, with a license from Octane. And it's actually really cool. I've set up this scene here where I have a camera, and I imported my frame here just to have reference of where everyone is at, and also to have like, my kind of perspective. And I tried to get like the camera to look as close as possible to the original camera on set. Unfortunately, we did a big mistake. We forgot to put down every kind of millimeters that we shot at, the focal length of the camera. That's really like important information if you're doing high-level VFX, just to know exactly what focal length and sensor size you have worked with on set. So now it's kind of just eyeballing it and guessing it afterwards. So I've created this smoke here. I basically imported a character, if I can just bring this character up here, from Mixamo. So I have this character here. You should be able to see it now without the smoke if I don't emit particles maybe. From Mixamo is just a landing sequence, so it has some kind of real animation to it. We have this character. Actually, I can kind of scale up this entire process and match it better. Also kind of looking at where the feet land, kind of trying to put that in the same perspective as the person in front. But basically, it's just an animation of someone jumping and then landing. And then I just animated that from up to down. So it actually looks like a person is in the smoke. I think that really adds the, realism in the effect. So that's great. And then I just added that in an emitter for particles, and I have like a mix of particles and smoke in Embergen. I know if you don't know the software, it's probably Chinese what I'm telling you right now, but it's actually a really simple software to use once you get a hang of it, and you have so much things you can do with it. But then I just have this sequence, and I rendered it out with an alpha channel, turning off my background here. Or actually, I don't have to do that, I guess. And I can just export this now. And then if I go in After Effects, I imported that right here. So it's probably re-rendering now. But if I drag this into my comp, you will see that I now have an alpha channel with my particles. And obviously, because it's re-rendering, it's actually bugging a little bit. This is a previous render, so it will override it soon. But this is the basic setup of my scene. I'm actually not going to import that here, but I have to import that here because here I have added an adjustment layer with a Lumetri color just to make my colors Rec 709. And I added a guide layer to this so this doesn't render out. It's just like an information tag for me to work on, but I want to export my footage in log in a flat profile so we have a lot of options afterwards to do color grading and such. What would you guys like to know? Like, what kind of visual effects inspires you guys the most? What do you absolutely love when you see it? Yeah, it just inspires you. I'm really curious. Can you let me know in the comments below? Or it's actually on the side because we're live. It's been a while. Okay, so also the amazing thing is that the render should happen quickly. So we're already at 20%. That's awesome. You think the tree can affect the smoke? How do you mean? Like, it should be a collider when the smoke lands and then it kind of pushes to this tree right here? Or do you mean the trees from like the leaves from above would actually collide? Or I'm not really following what you mean with that. One thing that I did think was when the smoke lands, should these leaves actually kind of blow out a little bit because of the interaction with it, because of the wind the smoke creates. I think I would have to create some particle systems where the leaves also interact together with the smoke. But yeah. So I'm going to add this smoke in here. I'm going to transform and fit to comp with. Although this is a 4K render, I'm currently working in crazy 6K because I want the absolute best quality possible afterwards to still do some zooms and stuff like that. But maybe it's crazy to work VFX on 6K. I'm not sure yet. Maybe it's better to just like compose it in 4K and be done with it. Everything is going to go a lot faster. Although I've noticed the higher resolution you shoot at, the easier it is to rotoscope using the roto brush, the easier a lot of effects become, but the wait time becomes a lot longer because of the higher resolution. So whenever I do a roto now, I have to do less myself, but I have to wait longer. So that's a small thing I noticed. The tree in the first has to push the smoke. Yeah, that's definitely a possibility. There should be a collider here instead of just because right now if I bring this behind the root of the tree, now it's behind the tree, but maybe it should have some kind of intersection with it. You're definitely right about that one. So I'm not sure why it's kind of all bugged up now. Maybe because it's still rendering. Otherwise, I'll just make a new one. Turbulence displacement effect inspires you the most. What do you mean with turbulence displacement? Like, what do you like to create with it? The fact that it can displace, like, when you apply effects to it and then you displace it behind it, it looks more realistic, or what do you mean? So obviously the smoke is way too dark now, and that's because of the correction LUT. So what I like to do here is just quickly try and correct this to match the actual source. So make it a lot brighter in the darks, yet I want it to be quite dark still. I'm also going to fix the mask here on the tree by just, well, actually I'm just going to delete this mask and quickly make a new one, so it's actually a good one. So I'm going to call this tree mask and create a new solid, make comp size and click OK. And then I'm going to my sequence and I'm just going to add Mocha AE to this and set my resolution to full for now, because whenever you work with Mocha, you have to make sure you have the highest resolution possible. And then I'm going to open it by clicking on the logo. I'm just going to quickly roto my tree in there because I find that, yeah, goes pretty quick in there. Although the roto brush would also work. So maybe we should just choose the roto brush. Okay, so let's do the roto brush. I'm going to delete this, click on the roto brush. Just go to my roto tree, double click on it. And I'm just going to roto brush the tree. Are there any movies that you guys have seen lately that you really enjoyed the VFX from, that you saw, like any recent movies? Almost spilled my water there. So once your first frame is as clean as possible, I think you should be good to go. And then you will see the magic of like working in 6K. I shouldn't need to do any more adjustments. So I'm going to fit this up to 100 and let's play it forward. John Wick Chapter 4. You've seen a movie? I haven't yet, but I'm curious about it. And Shazam, Black Adam. Still have to see those movies. I'm also curious about a new movie, 65. It's currently out in the theaters. So the only downside with doing the roto brush is that there is a long wait time. So let's imagine we've done it with Mocha. I'm just going to do a quick test by just deselecting this effect to see if this is a faster process or not. So I'm going to try it again because it also needs to track, and that's why I'm curious. And the process here would be as follows. So taking the X-Spline tool and then drawing a mask around it. And let's go. Yeah, I think it's definitely faster. I'm actually going to remove these keyframes and just focus on the first one first because I see that I'm doing this too quickly. go. And now let's track it forward. Let's see. It's not a tutorial. I'm basically working on a short film that is going to be released on this channel. It's full of visual effects. I really am challenging myself to complete all of it because it's 30 VFX shots in total. So we've already done the main layout of the short film. I've already done a huge amount of visual effects, like the main setup of everything. But now I need to fine-tune everything and make it look amazing, hopefully. So I thought it would be fun to do this on a live stream together and see where we get. Maybe you guys can give me some input on the final results, and then that will maybe make it to the final movie. So that would be awesome. I have watched the Avatar. Well, I have watched Avatar: The Way of Water. It's really amazing. It's stunning what kind of visuals they are able to achieve. Really mesmerizing, especially if you watch it in 3K, well, in 3D, in it's high frame rate or variable frame rate. I'm not sure, but amazing quality in there. Really cool to see. So this is also taking quite a bit of time. I'm not sure if I actually need to track it though, because there's so little movement in the shot, or it's actually a lockdown shot even. So why am I even bothering this to track it? Because I saw some minor jitters in there, but I don't think if the mask is clear, we are going to need to focus on that. So I'm just going to copy this Mocha AE and paste it on the solid and just turn this into a matte and set the matte line to 2. And now if I turn this on, we should see nothing. I'm just going to create AE masks that will be better. Press F on the keyboard and then feather it with 2% or 2 pixels. And then I'm going to just use my tree here and use this as a track matte so we can actually see a key out of our tree. Okay, there we go. We don't need the roto anymore. And now we can just focus on the rest of our shot. In the meantime, Embergen will probably have exported my smoke. So we can just reload my smoke import. I'm curious now. I'm just going to set this a little bit lower. And look at the preview. I'm not sure why there is smoke at the beginning, because in Embergen there isn't smoke in the beginning. It starts right here, so maybe I just need to like give it a new export. So while we're doing that, I'm just going to export it as a V3 as well and export this. No, Embergen is not for free. Although if you have the Odoi Octane license, then you do get Embergen with that. So currently I have a mask going on here, which I actually didn't want. So I'm going to cancel that. And that was just because I was showing the model, so I'm not going to render the mask. I'm going to export this. By the way, everyone, if you're interested in learning how to create epic videos, we're currently doing a pre-order that is closing tomorrow. So if you're interested, definitely go and check out the link in the description below. Yeah, it's definitely an amazing chance if you want to get amazing at creating cool videos. If this is something you want to do, then definitely go and check it out. I'm really not sure why it is doing that. That it shows me this in the beginning and then it doesn't. So I probably made a little mistake somewhere. And then the idea is to repeat this process for each individual person until I have the final look. Anyway, these are all different shots that I've already been working on. I'm not sure if I should show you guys because it's also a nice surprise if you see it at the end, like from scratch, you know? Super weird. So when it exports, it gives me a different result. Didn't have that before actually. So anyway, so if I have to block out the tree as well, which was a good idea, we could look into that now. So I'm going to add a collider. I'm going to add a primitive, which is going to be a cylinder. I do want to see it, so okay. Show the collider, there we go. And place it somewhere here. And try to put it like on average in the right position. Something like this should be fine. So let's see. Now it's going to interact with that normally. And that does give, well, actually not too much interaction, but maybe it does appear in the final result. So show collider is turned off now. I'm going to jump out of the camera to estimate the distance a little bit between the tree and the landing. So if I go here, that kind of feels right, so that's okay. I'm just going to make it a radius of maybe 4 and then go back into the camera. So compositing in After Effects, that's exactly what I'm also doing here. After that I exported this, imagine this is an asset you can use, then yeah, you also still need to composite it well in After Effects. So it will still come in handy later. Injection. Okay, so this is cool. Export this only. There we go. Okay, so this should be the final look of it, and then I can composite it in After Effects on these teleportations, or actually these appearances. Hey, what's up, man? How are you doing today? So let's just wait a second here, so I can immediately do it with the final look of it. Here was a little quick test I was doing on our actual avatar look. So if I show you the original shot here. Oh, actually that's not the original. Here is the original. I messed out the eyes, and I actually used I just used the key light here to take out the arrow here. And then I use this as an invert matte to reappear the mirror, the arrow. And then I get a look like this. Obviously, I still have to work on it, but it's pretty cool. This tool is called Embergen that I'm using for the smoke. Okay, so it's taking a little bit longer to render now. I'm going to re-import this, because I think I have a V4 now. Okay, there we go. That's a lot of questions at once, man. Okay. I don't really like this white spot here, so I'll have to fix the shading in Embergen a little bit, which we can see here. And that's actually because I turned off the smoke. So I'm just going to redo this one more time, and then we should have the final look of it. So I can already see it here. Okay, so this is starting to look cool, but I'm not sure why it shows that smoke in there. Embergen actually completely revamped their interface, and since then I actually have to readjust a little bit to their software as well. So I'm going to make sure there is no injection. That's exactly what I wanted to check. What do you guys think of this smoke animation here? Does it look like a Death Eater landing, or what would you adjust to it? And there's quite a bit of power. I'm just going to take out the life a little bit. Okay, I think I got it. Allow this one. Okay, so I'm going to export this one. This is a Rode Procaster, I think, microphone. But it's quite an old one, I think. So I've been using it for quite a while. It's good though, especially for podcasts and this kind of stuff. But you gotta make sure that you're close to the microphone, otherwise the quality goes down quite drastically. Thanks, man. That's good to hear. No, I don't have X particles anymore. I used to have it in the past. Love the tool. But now I'm using Embergen, which can both simulate smokes and like gases, but also particles, and also the mix between the two, which is really cool. Yeah, been working with this software for now. Hello, how are you doing, man? Okay, that was odd. I just started cinema and it did not open. Maybe because I'm rendering in Embergen. But I wanted to try something out. Let's see if we can do that. so in 4 minutes this should be done. Always hard to like render something live on a live stream because it takes time. Because I'm not sure why these particles appear in the beginning, so what I'm going to do is just animate it coming in, and I'm just going to make sure that before this there is no opacity. Sometimes cheap tricks work, man. You know? I am going to scale it up like a little bit though. So something like this. Reposition it just a little bit. And then I'm going to add, well, play with my curves a little bit more to make sure that it's not too dark. I want to look at like the darkest points in my scene and then like get the information from there and try and match the blacks and make sure that none of them is like darker. So I have a 0.707 in my scene, so it should work to do something like this. And this should look okay. I'm going to push a little bit of red in there because I noticed that my shadows have that in my scene. And that can afford me to bring it maybe a little bit darker because it is a dark energy in the end. I'm also going to add a plugin RSMB, which is Real Smart Motion Blur, which is going to add a little bit of motion blur to my particles and soften and smoothen everything out. So now if I'm going to right click and reload my footage, I should have a longer sequence to work with. Let's see how that looks. So you edit videos for YouTubers right now and you want to get into visual effects, some basic projects you'd recommend to start with. Well, honestly, the best thing you could do to start with, not to just self-advertise, but is to check out the link in the description below, because I'm currently doing a pre-order on the Epic VFX Academy. And you can learn literally everything from A to Z in there, everything related to Epic visual effects. So in the end, you will be, well, whether it's After Effects or 3D, you will have a full understanding of everything that you want. And you will also be able to follow everything according to a structured program that I have created to make sure that you learn correctly, but also you have a nice structure to follow. And also you get like Zoom calls and live meetings together with me and my team. So you can get the right guidance that you need and also the right feedback on your work. So that's definitely something that might be of interest to you if you want to learn visual effects, because literally for people that already have experience, or if you don't have any experience at all, this is definitely a place for anyone that just enjoys the topic to learn something of it. And a lot of our students actually achieved great results and also found amazing jobs because of this academy. So that's really amazing. Me, myself, I'm also super proud of being able to teach people to get such, well, yeah, high achieving dreams. That's really awesome. But yeah. In the end, it's all up to you as well. I'm only there to give you the right guidance. If you don't put in the right work, if you don't have the right mentality about really getting there or getting work done, then you're not going to get anywhere in the end anyway. So whatever somebody achieves is on their own. So the course is also Cinema 4D, yes. So we have two modules. One is going to focus fully on advanced video editing and compositing and After Effects, really cool stuff, green screen, anything you would want to know about that. So like advanced editing in general. And then the second module is everything related to 3D VFX integration, including Cinema 4D. You will learn literally everything from modeling to compositing. And the most important thing, because I know if you don't have too much experience, this can sound like too much information, but you can literally join and you're a member for a lifetime. So you have all the time that you want to follow your dreams and like just improve. Even if like a lot of our students that already follow the entire course, they tend to always go back to it because they found it as a very structured and organized way to kind of refresh their memories when they're working on a project. They knew like, okay, Ignace talked about this. I'm going to search it up and I'm going to watch it again just to refresh my memory. And that's how you should do it. You cannot know something from just watching one time or doing one time. So yeah. Hey, Charlo. Glad having you here, man. So if you really want to take this steps further, you could also animate the person coming down with it. I'm not sure if this is necessary, but if you would like to do this, you could just find like the first moment the person appears. And I'm just going to duplicate this footage, right click on it, and then freeze this frame, press M on the keyboard and delete the mask, zoom in on the person, and then I'm going to just mask out the person roughly. It can be very rough. Something like this. Okay, there we go. And then we can extend it and we can cut it at the end. And then we can press P on the keyboard, create a keyframe, move a few frames back, and then whoop, going off frame. So now we have an animation of the landing, and then we can also turn off or turn on rather motion blur. And let's see, we can also right click here on this last keyframe and set the keyframe to easy ease in. And then let's see. Now we have something like this. If you want it to be faster. What I also like to do is just offset this keyframe one frame, just because she should be in the original state on the next frame and not on this frame. So now she is still kind of in the animation and it looks smoother that way. You can play even with 2 frames sometimes, depending on the speed. I do like it more when it was like 1 frame. If you even want, you should be able to like right click and then enable time remapping. And like wherever she bends, I'm going to create a keyframe. And then right here, I'm going to create a keyframe. And then at the end of my timeline, I'm going to create a keyframe. And then I'm going to select this keyframe and the last keyframe and shift them over. So just these few like first frames explode more. And now I have something like, boom, she is there. Okay, cool. This is pretty smooth. And now I have to make sure this matches with the smoke. So I'm not sure. She's okay, she's coming there. If you really want to make it like exact. Boom. Okay. So let's see if this looks cool. What do you guys think? What do you think of this? Like, if this would be final, if you would consider it final, what would you think of this? What would your feedback be on this shot? honestly, I think it should happen faster. So I'm going to try and speed this process up. I'm not sure. That's too fast. So it's done rendering. Okay, I'm going to reload this one more time, and then I'm going to try and open up Cinema. Hopefully this time it works, because it didn't open before, and probably, okay, it didn't work again. That's so odd. Maybe because I'm live streaming? Never had this before, honestly. Okay, so the idea is that I will also make some interactions with particles and leaves around it, but I will need Cinema for that, and that won't be for today's live stream, apparently. Oh yeah, the color correction definitely has to change in the end. Don't get me wrong. This is just a LUT that transforms my log format to Rec 709, which is like the industry standard to have like neutral color. That way you know and understand how a CGI object should look in your shot. And then after you've completed this, you just export this like so. And then the grading department can easily add a LUT in there and then start grading it from there. So I'm not doing any grading of sort in here, but if I would grade this shot, it would be more like something like this. If I'm just going to do a quick demo here, like the grading that I would want for this will be pretty dark. Like, just to give an idea, something like this would be how I take the grading afterwards. Obviously, this is maybe a little bit too dark and doesn't have too much detail anymore. But yeah, that's something that is for at the end. If the smoke would fade into the ground or would be interacting with the ground, what do you mean? Because I like the fact that smoke touches the ground and then kind of explodes out a little bit. But it doesn't really do that now intensely. That's true. Shadow for the smoke. There should definitely be shadow for the smoke. And if I'm going to do shadow for the smoke, I'm probably going to do that in here using the shadow plugin from Red Giant. I think that's like the fastest way to do this. You could also do it in Embergen, but I'm just going to align my axis right here, and then I can just kind of direct it something like this, I guess. Or how is this shadow falling? And then I can say like 50%. Let's see how that looks. That's pretty cool. It does work. I'm not sure if it's the right angle. I think the angle is more that direction, but I think it's more that direction. But why is everything showing lines like this? So it's probably more that direction. Maybe this makes more sense. Let's see. Okay, so the problem here occurs because of the animation. So what I will do is I'm going to delete this shadow, and I have to pre-compose this as smoke animation. And now if I'm going to add this back again, but once it's landed, it shouldn't animate with it. So that's going to give me better results. Okay, so that's just... Okay, there we go. And that's really cool. I'm going to set this to like 50 and give it a softness of 50 also, or 100 even. Maybe 50. And then I'm also going to look at fade towards the end. So we have like a little fade in here. And that's looking great, I think. I am going to turn off this final grade because that way I can literally see what I am doing. It gives you a better grasp on reality. If you want to take this a step further, what you could do is create an adjustment layer, add turbulence disp. So not sure why I renamed that completely. And actually, I'm even giving it the wrong name because I want the displacement map effect. And I want to take my smoke animation as the input. Well, actually, I'm going to duplicate my smoke animation. I'm going to pre-compose this without the shadow. There we go. Pre-compose this smoke that either 3 disp. And then I'm going to add in a solid that is going to be 50% gray, perfect 50% gray. That's very important. And then for this, we can leave it, well, actually we can give it a tint where we make it white. Something like this. And now if we are going to use this as a source for the displacement, we can set this pretty high. Maybe set it behind the animation. And we should see some kind of distortion in the background, which is going to make the entire look of it maybe a little bit more realistic because you have interaction with the footage. Very subtle, but it's there. And obviously my numbers are too high, but that's because you want to keep things always subtle. Even if you don't see something in visual effects, or you don't notice it at least, it's really important that you do that step because that does, in the end, sell subconsciously the effect, if you know what I mean. Okay, so let's say that this is a done shot. I just need to do the final interaction with the ground and stuff. Does the color look like it matched? So we have a 0.03 and primarily reds. I think I can darken the smoke a little bit more. I'm actually going to copy all of these details and I'm just going to paste them back in my original comp because I want to have the control here. And I want to be able to darken it even more. I think it should be possible. Darken it even more, but maybe give it a lot more red. I don't necessarily think this looks too dark because it's a Death Eater in the end. But I'll see. We can put a depth. It's looking like it's one color. So having more shadow in it, you mean? The problem is, well, yeah, we can do that, actually. It's indeed looking a little flat, so I don't like that either. And we do have a lot of sun, so I'm going to look at my scene in Embergen. I close Embergen to try and open cinema, but as we're not going to get into cinema right now, I'll probably have to do a restart later. I'll just focus on the Embergen part and get that right. I mean, we don't have to rush things, we have to make things look beautiful. And so now Embergen doesn't start. Okay, so maybe we have to forget about that as well. I do think by doing what I just did, it did give some depth in there because I don't want too much depth. It's still something dark. Honestly, I already have a Leaf setup in cinema, so I'm just going to use a real physics simulator. But it's just unfortunate I cannot open it right now. But I think by putting it to multiply and having it like this, it's not looking too bad. I'm also going to add a fast box blur of just 1 pixel because I think the edges look a little bit too sharp compared to the footage. I think this is looking okay. I just need to fix the shadow a little bit to get a little bit of depth in there. But I think this animation looks okay. The speed of it, the way she interacts. Maybe I do want a little bit more of a wave here, which I'm going to add in there. And then I have to repeat the same process for each individual one. So I'm just going to render out different angles there. But I will have to fix Embergen for that. So as we cannot really continue because I cannot open Cinema and Embergen here, I'm going to just show you guys a little bit of a behind the scenes of a few of the shots that I'm working on. And then we can see where we're getting at the end, because this is at no, well, by no means a final shot, but we're working on it. So like right here, I have this way where he opens up the, like an earthbending hut. Also, if I'm going to actually take some color correction here. Well, we don't need it apparently. So this is a small interaction with the leaves. Although the leaf simulation isn't perfect yet, they don't interact realistically just yet. But this is something that I wanted to also add to the smoke effect. Something similar. Obviously not with that much impact. But yeah, here he bends like this little hut. Really cool. I still have to do a lot of spell effects and deflects. If I set this to full resolution, you will get a better ID. Pretty cool. Still have to re-render this though in a higher resolution. And then I also went and added a kind of beam out of it. Really cool stuff. And this is also a really cool effect that is really easy to achieve actually. Right here I have my footage, which is clean plate. And then I have my second footage, which was blue screen. And like if you want to do an invisibility cloak of Harry Potter, for example, we just apply a key and reveal the clean plate, and boom, you have something like this. I also added a little bit of a, well, I fixed the colors here. And I added a little bit of a displacement in there just to give it that kind of invisibility effect. Like it's actually warping around a little bit with the background. But essentially that's it. Really cool effect, or a cool way to create an invisibility cloak. So a lot of things to experiment with. I think I'm going to wrap it up here and continue doing the heavy renders, and maybe I'll see you guys soon. It's been a lot of fun, and I hope you guys are also as excited as I am to see the final result of the short film. It's incredible how many shots I've already been through, but it's still a lot of work. I think once it's done, we're going to upload it to the channel, so hopefully that's as soon as possible. And then I'm really curious what you guys think. Anyway, if you want to learn how to create effects yourself and you're not really sure where to get started, or you don't feel like you have the right guidance, then definitely go and check out the Epic VFX Academy in the link, with the link in the description below. It's really worthwhile. If you are into this stuff, you're going to get to join a community full of like-minded people that are all, just growing together. We will also do live video chats where we have like feedback rounds and give like real-time help to the people that need it. That is super helpful as well, especially the part of getting feedback on your work. I think that's a very underestimated part that a lot of people don't really, or a lot of people just neglect. But if you give a person a chance to just give you the right feedback, especially someone with experience, and you can listen to it and adjust where needed, you can have some really incredible results after. So anyway, I will provide you with everything with a link in the description below. You can find out more. We're currently doing a pre-order though, which is going to close tomorrow. So if you want to have access to the pre-order, definitely go and check it out, because we're throwing in a nice discount. We're also adding an assets pack in there completely for free. So yeah, it's definitely worth it, and hopefully I'll see you inside. Apart from that, I hope you enjoyed this live stream together with me. I definitely enjoyed it together with you guys. It was a lot of fun for you guys to be here and support me. I really do appreciate it, and hopefully I'll see you in the next one. Until then, create epic videos. Ciao, guys.